Hey, space junkies and Cold War fans, ever wonder what had happened if the Soviet Union beat the US to the moon? Picture cosmonauts planting a red flag up there in 1969, not astronauts with stars and stripes. Could that one win have flipped the world upside down? Tech, power, even who's calling the shots today? Stick around, because we're about to unpack a cosmic what if that might just rewrite everything you thought you knew. Hey there! If you're new around here, this channel's all about twisting history into crazy new shapes. We've played with stuff like the Ottomans going industrial, or Australia turning Dutch, and now we're shooting for the stars, literally. Today, we're diving into the space race, that wild 1960s showdown between the US and the Soviet Union. In real life, America nabbed the moon with Apollo 11. But what if the Soviets got there first? We're talking hammer and sickle banners on lunar soil, Moscow flexing hard, and a Cold War that looks nothing like the one in your history books. Let's rewind the clock and see where this rocket takes us. Okay, let's set the scene. It's the 1950s, and the Cold War's heating up. The US and the Soviet Union are eyeballing each other, flexing muscles with bombs, spies, and propaganda. Then, bam, space becomes the new battlefield. The Soviets kick it off in 1957 with Sputnik, this little beeping ball that freaks out the West. They're not messing around. First satellite, first dog in space, poor Laika. First guy, Yuri Gagarin, orbiting Earth in 1961. America's playing catch-up, and everyone's obsessed with one prize, the moon. It's not just about science, it's about proving who's boss. In real life, the Soviets had a shot. Their space program was run by this genius, Sergei Korolev. Think of him as their rocket whisperer. He's building these monster N-1 rockets designed to haul cosmonauts to the moon. Meanwhile, the US has NASA, tons of cash, and Wernher von Braun, a German rocket guy who swapped swastikas for stars and stripes. By 1969, Apollo 11 lands, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, one small step. You know the drill. The Soviets? Their N-1 keeps blowing up on the launch pad. 4 tries, 4 fireballs. Korolev dies in 1966, their program stalls, and they never make it. America wins. Game over. But what if they'd nailed it? Let's say it's 1965, and Korolev dodges that surgery that killed him. Maybe he skips the doctor and eats borscht instead. He cracks the N-1's problems, fixes the engines, stops the explosions. By July 1969, a Soviet lunar craft touches down, beating Apollo 11 by weeks. Picture this: cosmonaut Alexei Leonov, he's the guy who did the first spacewalk, steps out, plants a red flag with the hammer and sickle, and says something like, "For the workers of the world." Live on TV, grainy black and white, while the Kremlin's popping champagne. What happens next? Oh, it's a blast. First, the world loses its mind. In the US, people are glued to their sets, jaws dropped. Some kid in Ohio probably yells, "Commies on the moon?" while politicians freak out. The Soviets milk it hard. Parades in Moscow, propaganda posters of cosmonauts towering over capitalists, maybe even a catchy song about lunar comrades. Globally, it's a gut punch to Western pride. Places like India or Cuba, already leaning left, start thinking, hey, maybe these Soviet guys have the right idea. Prestige flips. America's not the shiny tech king anymore. Moscow is. Back home, the Soviet Union rides this high. In real life, their economy was creaky. Breadlines, grumpy workers. But this win pumps new life in. The government's like, see? Communism works. They funnel cash into space. More rockets, lunar probes, maybe a base by 1975. Picture it. A dome on the moon, red banners flapping in the vacuum. Okay, no wind, but you get it. Cosmonauts drilling for rocks while humming Soviet tunes. They call it Lunograd, Moon City, and it's got labs, greenhouses, even a little tractor zipping around. Kids back on Earth are begging for Lunograd toys, and every school's got a poster. Join the cosmic revolution. Tech gets a boost too. The Soviets were already good at heavy engineering, tanks, dams, rockets, so a moon win pushes them further. Maybe they crack reusable rockets early. Think of Proto-Space X, but with more vodka breaks. By the 1970s, they're launching satellites like it's nothing, beaming propaganda to every TV on Earth. Their computers catch up, less clunky, more sleek, because space needs sharp tech. Imagine Soviet engineers in thick coats, smoking cigarettes, designing chips that rival America's. The US is sweating. Silicon Valley's still a thing, but now it's racing a red juggernaut. What about the Cold War? This is where it gets juicy. In our timeline, America's moon landing was a flex. Proof capitalism could outdo communism. Here, the Soviets steal that thunder. The US doesn't just shrug, they double down. Congress throws money at NASA. Apollo 12, 13, a dozen more missions. Maybe a US lunar base by 1980. Picture American astronauts glaring across the craters at Lunagrad, like neighbors in a cosmic standoff. Tensions spike. Proxy wars in Vietnam or Africa get nastier as both sides flex harder. But here's a twist. Some say space could have cooled things off. Joint missions might pop up. US-Soviet handshakes on the moon to ease Earth's nerves. Daily life in the Soviet Union shifts too. Picture Moscow, 1970s. Streets buzzing with pride. New factories churning out space gear. Workers aren't just making tractors. They're building rocket parts. Kids dream of being cosmonauts, not just farmers. Schools push math and science, cranking out brainiacs. Cities get a facelift, taller buildings, electric buses, maybe even a monorail zipping past Lenin statues. Food's still basic. Cabbage soup isn't going anywhere. But there's a new vibe. People are chanting, "To the stars," instead of grumbling about bread. It's not paradise. Secret police are still a pain. But the moon win gives them something to cheer for. Globally, the ripple's huge. Europe's nervous. France and Britain might cozy up to the US more, scared of a Soviet tech titan. But non-aligned countries, India, Egypt, start buying Soviet rockets, not American ones. Space becomes a sales pitch. Join us, get a satellite. By 1980, the USSR's got a network. Think GPS, but Red Star branded, guiding ships and planes worldwide. The US scrambles to match it, but they're late. Africa's got Soviet-built radio towers beaming Moscow's signal, and Latin America's flipping channels to Soviet TV. The cultural win's as big as the tech one. Now, let's zoom into the military. The Soviets were paranoid, rightly so, and a moon victory amps that up. Lunagrad's not just science, it's a watchtower. They stick telescopes up there, spying on US bases, maybe even lasers. Okay, that's a stretch, but bear with me. The US counters with their own lunar forts, and space turns into a chessboard. Star Wars, Reagan's missile defense thing, might kick off a decade early, with both sides aiming rockets at the sky. It's tense, but here's a funny thought. What if they accidentally blow up a lunar cow statue some cosmonaut left as a prank? Utter destruction, headlines scream. Here's the big moment, the 1980s. In real life, the Soviet Union's wheezing, economy's tanking, Afghanistan's a mess. But here, they're flying high. Lunagrad's thriving. Say, 50 cosmonauts living up there by 1985, growing potatoes in lunar dirt. They beat the US to Mars too. Red planet, red flag, 1983. The Berlin Wall's still up, but it's less a cage, more a flex. We don't need the West. Gorbachev doesn't need glasnost, reforms, because the system's humming. The US is rattled. Reagan's sweating. Congress is yelling, "More rockets." The Cold War's not over. It's shifted. Space is the front line, and the Soviets are winning. Fast forward to today, 2025 in this world. The Soviet Union didn't collapse. It's a tech giant. Lunar bases, Mars colonies, cities glowing with neon and steel. Moscow's the world's science hub. Think MIT, but with more statues. The US is strong, but it's sharing the stage. English might have some Russian words. Cosmo for cool, Luna for awesome. Your phone? Maybe it's a Soviet brand, built in a factory near the Volga. The Middle East? Africa. Half the globe's tied to Moscow's orbit, not Washington's. One moon landing in 1969 rewrites the planet's power map. So, what's the takeaway? If the Soviets won the space race, it's not just about a flag on the moon. It's a domino effect. Tech explodes, the Cold War twists, the USSR sticks around. You might be eating lunar-grown borscht right now, watching Soviet cartoons on a Red Star TV. History's nuts. One rocket could have flipped it all. What do you think? Could they have kept it up, or would the US bounce back? Drop your thoughts below and subscribe for more crazy what-ifs.